3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Welcome to Grok Talk. It's Halloween.
That's liberals screaming to get away from us.
That could be very true. That could be very true. Another week. It is Halloween. It is the end of October. It is the end of Groktober. Welcome to the program. I am here with Mr. Skip Murphy and Mr. Mike Rogers. I didn't switch your names this week. Thank you very much. My name is Steve McDonald. Today on the program, we will have Rich Gerard, who is in an election this coming week for Manchester School Board. And Karen Vaughn, the mother of Navy SEAL Aaron Vaughn, will be on the show. And we are expecting Kimberly Morin in the final segment of the program. So welcome. Another day, another week. A lot of things to talk about, as always. We were kind of batting around some things early on about what to talk about as far as the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And I think I mentioned a couple things in the news read. If you heard that part of the program, I think the RNC calling CNBC during the debate to tell them they need to ask Jeb Bush more questions is a really good one.
Yes. Not to say what the truth, which was self-evident by halfway through the debate, which was that the moderators were attacking the candidates, but to say you're not giving our candidate enough exposure.
Correct. And we've also got Obama sending troops to Syria. Well, he's not really sending troops to Syria, but he's sending troops to Syria, and even the Democrats are a little pissed off about that.
Well, I would say this is a point of being exceedingly dangerous and stupid, because he's allowed Putin to walk in there, and now Putin is attacking the people that we set up, because Putin's job is to defend Assad and, by the way, get rid of ISIS, and in between completely crush the other rebels, which are the ones we were supporting stupidly. So now we send our guys in to support our rebels, knowing that Putin is all poised to crush.
And Obama decides to put a stick in the eye of the Chinese premier by sailing a couple of our missile-guided destroyers right past their brand-new artificial reef islands.
Nice island you got there.
Well, we should have been doing that all along from the moment they started construction on the grounds that these are open sea lanes, and just keep it up as if it was the most natural thing in the world, and dare them to attack us. But now
they might.
Well,
and then what's he going to do?
Sink the island.
I don't think so.
He will use it as an opportunity to create a Woodrow Wilson-like war economy, declare martial law, whatever it is he feels like, because he's Obama and he doesn't care.
Yeah. I mean, he's already given himself...
He probably wants some kind of conflict. That's probably why he sent troops to Syria. He's only got a year or so left. He's got to get the rest of his agenda done, and the only way he can do it is to create a situation that is dire and will allow him to just make a case for whatever he wants.
The only problem with his pronouncement is that he's sending special forces over to Syria. We've had special forces over in Syria for quite some time. In fact, there was a couple of months ago where special forces that are stationed at the Al-Assad Air Base, where my son served during the Iraq War, they already had to go out and defend the base. So we've had boots on the ground for quite some time. This is just, I guess, the official recognition. And while these guys are superb and can probably outdo, a whole squad or a platoon of regular Army soldiers, sending 50 more special forces there ain't a whole lot of boots on the ground. This is just enough to say, oh, I'm doing something.
It could be he just wants to get rid of those guys, and he's just sending them over there so that the Russians can kill them.
It is pretty much a suicide mission. On the other hand, if you put people in sufficient of a corner, they may just conveniently forget their rules of engagement and remember that they're there to kill people and break things.
Oh, well, they could just as easily go over there, arm and train the rebels, who could then just shoot them. I mean, really. It's sad, but that's very true.
There's no such thing as good rebels in any of those parts of the world. We need to let the tribal boundaries reestablish themselves, because the French, the British, and to some extent the Americans messed the entire region up after World War One, and it's been a disaster ever since.
It pretty much has. Okay, we also have another item from the newsread. Clinton emails revealed that in 2011 she was prepared to provide security and assistance to the Libyan prime minister in Benghazi to move him to Tripoli because Benghazi in 2011 was deemed too dangerous for the prime minister. Not, however, for her own ambassador, who was, of course, executed on September 11th, 2012.
And dragged through the streets ostensibly on the way to a hospital, yes.
Yeah, so more bad news for Hillary. It won't make any difference, I'm sure, to Democrats because they don't care. They think it's all a vast right-wing conspiracy like everything else that happens, but it's out there.
Let's pile on. It turns out that while her boy pal Sid Blumenthal had her direct email address, the ambassador didn't. It also turns out that the actor Ben Affleck also had her personal email address, and the ambassador didn't.
And what would the difference be? Well, Sid Blumenthal was providing, shall we say, slanted intelligence out of Libya, which suited his and Hillary's interests, and Ben Affleck was no doubt contributing money to the Clinton Global Graft Initiative.
Correct. Meanwhile, Ambassador Stevens was still being dragged in the streets, waiting for security.
Right, and neither Blumenthal nor what's-his-face were. So we will be talking about perhaps the budget. We can talk about that. Senator Ayotte, of course, embraced the Clean Power Plan. I put up an article on Watchdog actually sent me a link to the Hill article. And they said, hey, you want to dig into this and write a story? And I'm like, well, yeah, great. So you're going to pay me. I mean, what the heck? I'd love to. So I did that, and then Skip posted something on that, and then it just kind of grew, got a life all its own. I tossed it out into social media a little bit, and wrote another post after that, because naturally, whenever you write anything about a Republican doing things that are so incredibly left wing that it just makes your head explode, they're going to come out and defend her, and they say things like, well, she's going to be with us on more votes than Maggie Hassan. And, of course, my response was, if she's not with us on property rights, rule of law, and individual liberty, who cares what else she's with us on? Because that's what CPP does. It takes all those things away. National tax, national carbon trading scheme, and Facebook is still reverberating. I expect to start getting emails and phone calls pretty soon because it's really starting to go.
Well, but the thing is, it's completely correct. Look,
it is correct.
In the Senate, something like 35 Republicans voted against the Clean Power Plan. Was it the Clean Power Plan or the budget?
Clean Power Plan.
And 19 voted for it.
Yeah. And you got to say, this is really nothing more than an exercise to enlarge the size, the cost, and intrusiveness of government. This is 180 degrees opposite the Republican principle of limited government, local control.
I know that because we've already had a cap and trade scheme, and because our electricity rates are in the top 5 for the highest all the time, every year, for as long as I can remember, that Ayotte was probably going, well, if we screw everybody else over, New Hampshire will look better. But in the process of doing that, she has empowered the EPA. She has empowered the executive rulemaking authority. She has empowered, national, federal, central planning overreach. She has and then the cap and trade tax on electricity. It will make everybody else's electricity cost more, and it will enrich a select few people, including the government.
Absolutely. And, once again, we see this pincer movement because she and Shaheen gathered up their skirts and said, I like that word, skirts. You too, Jennifer Horn? They said, well, we're going to use the force of government to raise the efficiency of all your appliances. No matter that it's going to cost more, but you'll use less electricity for your more advanced, efficient washers that can't do dishes in under 3 hours.
You
now.
can't afford them, but you can save money if you could.
Yeah. So now we're going to force you to with the upfront higher cost, and now with her voting for the CPP, it's going to raise the high cost of electricity even more. And guess what's in the middle of those pincers? That would be you and I. And we can thank Kelly Ayotte for this.
We're going to take a break and stay, because that's how we break up the segments. And we're going to be right back. Stay tuned.
This is the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
For many months, I've been speaking about what I call the Washington cartel. The Washington cartel consists of career politicians in both parties who get in bed with lobbyists and special interests here in Washington and grow and grow and grow government. The Washington cartel is, I believe, the source of the volcanic frustration Americans face across this country. And it is difficult to find a better illustration of the Washington cartel than the charade we are engaged in this evening. This deal that we are here to vote on is both shockingly bad on the merits, and it is also a manifestation of the bipartisan corruption that suffuses Washington, D.C.
Rock.